All right, 19 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. So I had a dream, Robin. I was a fly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a fly, and I was somehow trapped in the back window of a car being driven by a 18-year-old guy.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my.
He was on his phone. He was texting people and driving, and I was thinking, I don't know.
Not good.
I don't know. I don't like that. And then I hear him go, "Come on, you old lady, get out of my way." I know. It was not nice. So I looked up and I saw the old lady driving the car. I said, "Yeah, she is kind of going slow. She's kind of. It is kind of weird." Okay. So then I flew out of the window and I went into the old lady's car, and she was just enjoying her Glenn Miller music. And then I saw her look in the mirror. I thought she was looking at me, but what she was looking at was the guy behind her, the kid I was just with, right? Mm-hmm. And she says, "Look at that young guy. Look at him. He's on his phone. Why is he driving looking at his phone?" So I don't know which one we need to talk to, right? Do we talk to the old guy, old lady, or the young guy?
That's right.
That was a silly way to introduce Jodi.
I think both need a talking to, but we should concentrate on the older drivers right now.
Because that's what Jodi's on the phone with. Jodi Olshevski has been with us before. She's a gerontologist, the only gerontologist I've ever spoken to, I think. And she's the executive director of the Hartford Center for Mature Market Excellence. And she's going to talk to us about this difficult subject, how to discuss the warning signs of bad driving habits. So far, it applies to both of my examples, right?
There you go.
But with the older drivers in your life. So, young man, you're off the hook right now. We'll come back to you later. But, Jodi, good morning. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
See, my mission, Jodi, is to have this interview stand out from all the other ones you do.
Oh, okay, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Are you driving right now? It sounds like you're tooling down the road.
You driving?
Oh, no, I am absolutely not driving. I'm in a studio.
Oh, wow. You must have a fan on or something. Well, thank you. Where are you calling from?
Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's right. That's where you are. How's your weather? You got snow yet?
Not yet.
No. So we are, I think we told you this last time, but we're in a weird demographic here because we have many, many retirees, but the University of Florida is also here. So we have many, many very, very young and new drivers. And so, and the example I gave with my silly story about the fly is, I guess it's an exaggeration of the stereotype. You know, we always think the kids are on their phones and the old people are going too slow. But what do you do about the older part of that equation? Do you talk to your mom and dad? How do you take the keys away? That kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it's such a critical issue, really, for all of us, no matter what our age, whether we're 18 or 75. I think driving is really essential. It's the way that we connect with those around us, and certainly as we age, it's kind of the glue that keeps us connected to our communities. And so certainly talking to an older relative is a difficult subject. Having these conversations on an ongoing basis before driving becomes a problem is ideal. So if there's a way to do that's the best way to approach it. But nonetheless, if you are concerned about an older relative, we say here at the Hartford, the first step is getting in the car as a passenger to observe that driving. So sometimes we have the tendency to get in the driver's seat and have the older relative be the passenger, but we suggest the opposite because it's really important to observe driving and see if your concerns are valid before you even think about talking.
Well, when you do talk to the older driver, the biggest fear from that older driver is their loss of freedom. When a person has this conversation with them, don't they have to be the person to commit themselves to taking this person around?
Well, it's a good question. I think you're raising the issue of transportation resources, and that needs to be part of the conversation, too. So doing your research and preparing for that conversation and knowing what options do exist. If you live close, certainly, you're going to need to be, available, and there might be other resources as well. But it's important to think about, not just talking about driving, but you want that person to go on living and to go on doing the things that bring them joy. And
right.
Sometimes that spontaneity, like getting an ice cream cone on a hot day, or you're out of something and you need to just run to the store, and sometimes those are the hardest issues, even though we tend to focus on doctor's appointments and other things. How do you get there? I think having that comprehensive view of what's important, it has to be an essential part of that approach.
I wanted to tell you another thing about the demographic of the older folks in our community. Many of them were from bigger cities. They moved to Florida when they retired, and many of them have lost a spouse. And so a lot of times in the bigger city, public transportation was the way. They did everything with a bus or a train or a taxi. And then when they moved down here, let's talk about the woman who's maybe dependent on her husband to drive. He dies. Now, not only does she not have him to drive, but she has no public transportation, and
exactly.
And this circumstance happens a lot. I think in this day and age, though, with all these Uber things, I think that would be a good thing to do, is to introduce mom to the whole Uber thing. I think that might be helpful.
Certainly, the kind of increase in on-demand transportation over the years certainly, introduces kind of another idea, another option to be considered. And we've actually found in our research here at the Hartford with MIT Age Lab that sometimes that widowed spouse becomes kind of a very significant driver after the loss of their spouse, and it becomes the way that they stay connected. So, it just depends on the situation in terms of what takes place.
And how about the vehicles themselves that the person is driving? How do you judge maybe the vehicle is too big for that person? And how do you, if they are able to drive and get around, how do you try to talk them down to something that might be better in size for them?
Yeah, well, talking about how a person fits their vehicle is an important issue. I know that AARP has a program called CarFit, which they offer in various communities. Sometimes it's offered by volunteers or occupational therapists. That's a good way to find out. We've also done research here at the Hartford with MIT Age Lab in terms of some of the newer vehicles and the vehicle technology, safety technology that's in there. Sometimes that can be helpful too. So you do raise important issues that also need to kind of be part of the picture.
So tell us about the signs, about the warning signs. What is, I would be afraid that if I was the passenger that I might I might be judgmental and not in a good way. What do I look for?
Yeah, you really have to have a balanced approach, right? And the warning signs vary. And so for sure, keep in mind that a single minor driving mistake doesn't mean you need to stop driving. We all make those mistakes. But you're really looking for patterns of warning signs and an increase in frequency and severity. And so some of the things to look for on the more minor side of things would be, when you're the passenger, if that driver is having severe difficulty turning, to see when they back up, if they're not using right signaling all the time, if they can't maneuver in a parking lot, they're parking inappropriately, repeatedly, or if they're always hitting the curbs, right? Those are signs that you want to pay attention to. On the more serious side of things, if there are near misses, a lot of near misses, and if they seem to have a really delayed response to unexpected situations, right, those are greater warning signs to pay attention to. And then the more extreme ones of, confusion at exits, that's when you really do need to intervene, and you need to take action sooner rather than later, just because obviously that poses some serious safety concerns.
How do you keep that person from getting agitated at you and realize that this is in their best interest?
Yeah, well, that's, the preparation that needs to go into kind of having that conversation, and starting it sometimes can be difficult because you want to set the tone for how it proceeds. So you got to choose the right messenger. So who is the person that has the best rapport? And then when's the right time? And while it's tempting to do, since we're upon the holiday season, we might be all together, that might not be the best time because you want it to be non-threatening. To your point, to try to reduce the, defensiveness. You want it to be a non-threatening conversation so that that person can feel comfortable expressing his or her feelings too. It should be a two-way dialogue, not a talking to. And if you have done your homework and you have kind of that fact base to draw from, sometimes that can be a great conversation starter. So for example, yesterday, Dad, when we were driving, I felt really frightened because, and then you can lay down the fact. And I think all those things can sometimes help. It still might not make it an easy conversation, but it might make it a more productive conversation.
The website that we have for you is thehartford.com. Is there information on the site to guide us when it comes to this time, the need for this discussion, and maybe how to handle it effectively or gently? Maybe that's a better word.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So thehartford.com and then /lifetime, that will bring you right to a list of resources. And we put together a guidebook based on our research at the Hartford with the MIT Age Lab, and it's called We Need to Talk, Family Conversations with Older Drivers, that you can download for free. And that really has everything we think you need to know in order to plan for and have that conversation. So we have a very comprehensive warning sign list. We have checklists to plan for transportation resources, conversation starters, really everything that we think is essential for you.
All right, very good. Jodi, have a great holiday season. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for being on the show with us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
The holiday season means busy schedules, family, celebrations, and giving. For area hospitals, it also means blood shortages. This year, add a patient in need to your gift list. Donate blood with Life South to give someone a happy, healthy holiday. Your community is counting on you. Give local, save local. For more information, visit lifesouth.org.
Ask yourself, what do you pay for health care? Are you single? Do you pay more than $199 a month? Are you a couple? Do you pay more than $249 a month? Do you have a family? Do you pay more than $529 a month? Yes, you can serve the entire family with health care for only $529 a month. Sign up at any time of the year, pick your own doctor and hospital, ask any questions in our live chat box. It takes 2 minutes to find out how to save. Go to lightyourliberty.com. That's lightyourliberty.com.
I'm Jennifer McCullough, the Executive Director of Palm Garden. During this holiday season, I will be ensuring every department provides the very best of care.
And I'm Jan, and I will be fluffing pillows for every new guest coming in to stay with us over the holidays.
I'm Crystal, and I'll partner with therapy and nursing to ensure all the needs of our guests are met the Palm Garden way.
We wish you all a very Merry Christmas as we celebrate the Savior's birth.
Merry Christmas from Palm Garden.
This year at Wild Adventures Theme Park, Christmas is bigger and brighter with the all-new Snowville for kids, family photos with Santa, a 5-story animated Christmas tree, and more than 1 million lights throughout the park. All kids 3 to 5 get in free with a pre-K Kids Season Pass, and 2019 Season Passes are on sale now. Make your Christmas bigger and brighter. Get your tickets and 2019 Season Passes now at wildadventures.com.
If you're looking for a bit of pre-Christmas color, then look no further than the huge selection at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. Sure, Bob has hundreds, no thousands of poinsettias and Christmas cactus and Christmas trees. But how about something really different for a gift giver? Like a famous Bob Wine's heirloom camellia. They're all blooming or just about ready to bloom, and prices start as low as $9.99. Or how about a gift of a tree? Right now, buy a tree for a gift, get another one just like it for yourself for half price. And don't forget that super closeout on trees with many waist-high trees selling for the unheard-of low price of just $5. Don't wait. Get on over to BobWinesCameliaGardens.net or check BobWinesCameliaGardens.net. Southeast 38th Street, Ocala, away from all the traffic, daily till 4, Saturdays till 2, in the same blooming Christmas location since 1952.
Howdy folks, RL here for Dairy Queen. As fall approaches, it seems our taste buds change gears and things like char-grilled hot dogs with chili come to mind. Also, I got a crow about our most tasty grilled and crispy chicken breast sandwiches. And everybody knows about our world-famous chicken tenders and pepper cream gravy. Good. But you might just want a banana split or a blizzard for dessert. Dairy Queen, Silver Springs, where we always treat you like kings and queens.
Robin, last year, the WOCA family of listeners came through big time with Christmas gifts for the Kids Helping Kids children.
I know. The studio was filled with toys. We could hardly walk to our microphones.
And this year, Kids Helping Kids is asking us to help again.
Well, it is a great idea. The children each take turns browsing through the gifts. They pick out the gifts they want to give to another child. The adults then wrap those gifts and deliver them.
Each child who gives a gift also gets a gift.
That is why it is called Kids Helping Kids. The children in the program are referred to the program from churches and schools who know the circumstances of their families.
You made us proud before.
Our listeners always make us proud.
And I know you'll make us proud again.
Just bring a new or gently used unwrapped toy to the WOCA studios in the Paddock Mall.
And Jerry Girth from Kids Helping Kids will pick up the toys on December 14th.
And once again, the spirit of giving will become the spirit of Christmas.
Is that Santa Claus? Here are today's headlines from the source, WOCA. A state commission will consider a long list of recommendations addressing school safety problems statewide. It's named the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Commission. The mission is to consider proposals including whether to arm trained volunteer teachers. The goal is to make it harder for outsiders to enter Florida's nearly 4,000 public schools. Armed security will be present on all campuses with explicit orders to confront shooters. Also, the group says it is important to improve communication systems on campuses. The commission also wants to impose more statewide uniformity on how troubled students are identified, helped, and if necessary, dealt with by police. The commission, created weeks after the Valentine's Day shooting, must file its initial report to Governor Rick Scott, incoming Governor Ron DeSantis, and the legislature by January 1st. Ocala's first medical marijuana dispensary is now open. The business, called Curaleaf, is next to Sonny's Barbecue on State Road 200. Reports indicate that the dispensary is already busy filling prescriptions. Curaleaf operates one of Florida's largest marijuana growing operations near Mount Dora. The processing is done in Miami. Only certified doctors may prescribe medical marijuana, which is administered as vape oil, tincture, capsules, and CBD oil. The company also makes cartridges that contain the full marijuana flower. Prices range from $15 for small flower vaporizer cartridges to $90 for 30 millimeters of CBD oil. The law allows the use of medicinal marijuana by those suffering from cancer, epilepsy, glaucoma, HIV/AIDS, post-traumatic stress disorder, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Crohn's disease, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, or chronic pain. NASA's new Mars lander has taken a selfie from Mars using a camera on its long robotic arm. The InSight lander snapped a series of photos that NASA turned into a stunning mosaic released yesterday. InSight landed on Mars on November 26. In the 2 weeks since, scientists have been thrilled to find the area in front of the spacecraft pretty much free of rocks, hills, and holes. That should make it a safe place for InSight's 2 geology experiments, which will be moved to the ground in the coming weeks. Lead scientist Bruce Bennett of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory says the red sandy expanse might seem pretty plain if it weren't on Mars, but he notes we're very glad to see it. 32 critically endangered Kemp's Ridley sea turtles that were rescued off Cape Cod were flown by private jet yesterday from Quincy, Massachusetts to the subtropical Florida Keys, where they will convalesce at Marathon's Turtle Hospital. Several of the turtles suffer from compromised immune systems and pneumonia as a result of cold stunning, which Turtle Hospital spokeswoman Betty Zirkelbach says is a hypothermic reaction that occurs when sea turtles are exposed to cold water for a prolonged prolonged time.
So these turtles, once we get them into rehabilitation, we have warmer waters right here for them in our rehabilitation tanks.
The flight transport to Florida Keys Marathon International Airport was conducted by an all-volunteer group of general aviation pilots in coordination with the Turtles Fly 2 organization. Once the juvenile sea turtles are healthy enough to be released back to the wild, they will return to warmer waters off the coast of Florida. The National Transportation Safety Board has held a hearing in Washington on a new Port Richey casino boat fire that happened nearly a year ago. 15 people were hurt and one person later died as a result of the fire on board the Island Lady. NTSB Chairman Robert Sumwalt told the hearing the casino boat company Tropical Breeze has a history of problems.
In addition to our findings in this investigation, we will consider this board's previous experience with this very company in a 2004 fire on board another vessel in virtually, amazingly, and almost exactly the same location.
On January 14th, fire engulfed the Island Lady. The pilot purposely ran aground so passengers could jump off of the boat. One passenger, 42-year-old Carrie Dempsey, died from her injuries. The NTSB determined the fire started by a faulty fuel line. A group called Florida Conservation Voters has a message for the next governor. Alakai Moncrief delivered a letter to the office of Governor-elect Ron DeSantis asking him to acknowledge climate change and put a new emphasis on clean energy.
We ask him to acknowledge that climate change is a serious threat and that we have opportunities in Florida to transition from dirty fossil fuels to clean renewable energy. We're the Sunshine State. We should be getting more of our energy from the sun.
Moncrief says DeSantis can counter the hold Florida's electric utilities have over Tallahassee politicians. U.S. Senator Marco Rubio says nationalism based on race or ethnicity puts our country in jeopardy.
Ethnic and racial nationalism is a deadly poison. It is an anti-American poison.
The Florida Republican spoke yesterday in Washington at a lunch for the American Principles Project, a conservative think tank. He says nationalism is appropriate if it accepts the basic premise that anyone can be an American. Racial nationalism has been in the news in the past few years, especially after racially motivated incidents like the deadly attack at the rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, and a recent mass shooting at a synagogue in Pittsburgh. It's been 20 years since Lawton Childs died at the governor's mansion in Tallahassee. He was the last Democrat elected as governor of Florida. He's also the guy who killed Joe Camel.
Governor Childs led the legal and political battle that forced cigarette companies to pay billions of dollars to states for the health care cost of smokers. Attorney John Moyle says it was the first time big tobacco lost.
Governor Childs was not afraid of a big fight.
Childs also forced tobacco companies to stop advertising to kids. Ed Childs says his dad fumed over a Joe Camel billboard across the street from the governor's mansion.
He had to see that every day when he went, when he went home and went back and forth to the mansion, and it just galled him.
Childs even forced tobacco companies to pay for the